Hello, my name is Andrew Dobell, and this is a reading from my book The New Prometheus, a cyberpunk techno-thriller. Frankie felt herself begin to rise from the darkness. Strange dreams she couldn't quite grasp faded and slipped away from her as sounds started to register. She could hear humming, the sound of cooling fans or electronic equipment, and then a voice she thought she recognised. "Frankie, can you hear me? Frankie, are you awake?" She felt strange. She could feel her body, but it wouldn't move, and it didn't quite feel right. She tried to move her neck, to stretch her muscles, but nothing happened. However, she found she could move her jaw and facial muscles. With an effort, she opened her eyes and knew immediately something was very different. She didn't feel at all tired. She felt alert and ready, if only she could move. Suddenly, icons like on a datapad flicked into life around the edges of her vision. Then, to one side, text appeared in a window and scrolled up in front of her. It moved incredibly fast, and yet she could understand it. She knew what it meant. It listed the date and time, noting that she had apparently slept the night and whole day away, and then a long list of systems coming online and passing some diagnostics tests. She started to get a bit of a sinking feeling as her suspicions grew. In front of her stood Dr. Xenox. Holding a datapad, he tapped at it occasionally and looked up at her. He was a thin man in his 50s maybe, if she had to guess, with a shock of white hair combed back from his face, making him look like he had been blasted with wind. He wore a lab coat and had two chrome metallic augmentations, one over each eye. They were probably artificial eyes, but she wasn't sure. "Frankie? Xenox? Dr. Xenox, is that you?" she asked. Her voice sounded different. He smiled up at her. "It is, yes. Welcome back." "What? Welcome? Where are we? What have you done to me?" "I saved your life," he said. Memories suddenly flooded back, images of the Jacker girl firing her gun at her, and the incredible pain she'd felt in her stomach. "You found me?" she asked. "I did." "And you healed me?" The doctor pressed his lips together. "In a manner of speaking, yes. I did the only thing I could. You were very badly hurt, and there was only one way for me to save you." "What have you done?" she demanded. "I gave you a new body," he said, and tapped on his pad. Her vision glitched with digital static for a fraction of a second, and she found she suddenly had the use of her neck muscles again. The doctor gestured to her right, to a nearby gurney with a female body laid out on it. The injuries to her lower torso were severe. She could see her insides and the huge loss of blood that she had sustained, as most of it was on the floor. A green surgical cloth covered her face up to just above the eyebrows, revealing her scalp, or what was left of it. The top of her skull had been cut off like a lid with a clean surgical cut, and the brain removed. Frankie felt odd, like she should be feeling sick to her stomach or about ready to throw up. Although she felt sickened by what was before her, she knew she wouldn't actually vomit. Still, she had a horrible feeling that the body she was looking at, the body she was no longer inside of, had been hers. "Is that—" She couldn't finish the sentence, and hoped that the doctor would know what she was going to ask. "Your body? Yes, it was your body. But now you have a new one." She slowly looked down at herself and quickly noticed that she was naked. Not only that, she didn't recognise her own body. The shape was subtly different. It was a small difference, but she knew it wasn't hers. It was smooth and hairless, artificial. There were no nipples on her breasts, and there seemed to be various lines like seams where she had been assembled, running all across her body. She looked like a high-tech, sophisticated doll. "What the fuck have you done?" she exclaimed. "What is this? This isn't me. Shit, what the hell?" "Calm down. You're not helping yourself," he interjected. "Calm down? Don't you tell me to calm down. You're not the one strung up, immobile, inside a body you don't recognise," she accused him. "Look, I appreciate that, but it was the only way. Why can't I move? What's going on?" "I'm restricting your movement, which, given your reaction, was probably a good idea," he mused, almost to himself. "You're doing this, you sicko?" "Well, Lucy the mainframe is," he said, indicating the computer stations behind him. Well, I'm awake now. Let me down. Let me go. Well, no. Not quite yet. I might adjust your neural interface, he said. Make you more compliant. You what? She exclaimed. You can't do that. Why would you do that? Well, look at yourself. Look how you're reacting. I'm reacting like anyone who had been through a back alley surgical procedure would without their consent would. You gave me your consent. You asked me to save you, he corrected her. No, I didn't. Well, actually, yes, you did. You told me I could save you, and I asked if you wanted me to, and you agreed, he stated. I was delirious and probably in shock. You can't ask me questions like that when I've been shot. I probably wasn't thinking straight. I can barely remember any of it as it is, she explained. She looked over at the bloody mess on the gurney and sighed. Icons popped up in her vision over the body, analysing the wounds and giving estimates about what her chance of survival would have been based on the data her cyberbrain had. The wounds looked severe, fatal, probably. And yet, here she was, alive, in a manner of speaking. She grimaced and tried to calm herself down. Look, I don't mean to sound ungrateful. It seems like you saved my life, from what I can tell. So, even though I might not agree with your methods, thank you? The doctor smiled. My pleasure. I appreciate the sentiment. Don't think for 1 second that you're forgiven. I'm still not happy. And the way you've gone about this, well, it leaves something to be desired, that's for damn sure. She was doing her best not to get too angry when a question popped into her mind. Anyway, why me? Why not you? He asked. Just seems a little random. Not really. I've been looking for someone to inhabit my creation for a while, and you were pretty high on my list of choices, so... You saw me go past your lab yesterday, didn't you? She accused him, making a mental leap. I saw you, yes, and when I heard the tech gang I thought I'd check out the aftermath. Just in case, you know? Jesus fucking Christ. You were out there looking for someone to harvest, she said, feeling anger rise again. That's one way of putting it, I suppose. Another would be that I was trying to help. You're a fucking animal, you know that? A psycho. I feel like you raped me, and now I have to live with this monstrosity, she yelled, looking down at herself, unable to keep her rage in check and wanting just to rant and shout at this monster of a human being. Xenox tapped his pad, and suddenly her voice stopped working. She could still move and do everything that she needed to do to talk, but there was no noise. It was as if her vocal cords had just stopped working. She panicked for a moment, trying to shout and scream as loud as she could, but to no avail. The doctor looked up at her and seemed to be resigning himself to something. Frankie, you're not leaving me many choices here. I'm going to have to review your neural net. I can't have you acting like this, he said, deadpan, as he walked towards his workstation. She felt a wave of fear pass over her. The idea of losing control of herself, of losing her freedom, sounded like death to her, a living death, an end to who she was and everything she had done or accomplished. And yet, she couldn't help how she felt. She couldn't let him just get away with this. She had spent her whole life without any major cyberization. The thought of the procedures made her a little squeamish. Even the idea of the nanobots inside of her was a little creepy. Did she still have those? She wondered. Were they still inside her brain, or what was left of it? Nanobot status working at 100% efficiency. She blinked on seeing the message pop up in her vision. Well, that told her. Without warning, the lights suddenly went out, and the hum of the computers faded away to nothing. The power to the building had been cut. That was a reading from my novel, The New Prometheus. My name is Andrew Dobell, and thank you for listening.